Hello, friends. Jim here, Science Talk, and in another follow-up to a video segment I did some time ago, where I discuss how a warming planet makes for stronger ocean winds and waves. Well, this is what I'm going to follow up with in this video segment. Okay, scientists have established that sea levels are rising. Along with this, ocean winds and waves are growing in speed and force. In other words, the heat being absorbed by the ocean is driving this. So a 30-year study of data from 31 satellites and 80 ocean buoys has given us this information. Ocean winds are fiercer, waves are getting measurably higher. So it's a significant difference than the typical average. It is a given of global warming that as average planetary temperatures increase, more energy is available for storm, rainfall, and drought. In the past century, right, due to burning greenhouse gases, fossil fuels leading to greenhouse gas emissions, average global temperatures have crept higher than 1 degree C. It's about 1.3 now. And in 3 decades, the speed of extreme winds in the Southern Ocean has increased by 8% or 1.5 meters per second. Extreme waves have increased by 30 centimeters or 5% over the same time period. Now, 30 centimeters is approximately a foot for those not familiar with the metric system. These changes have impacts that are felt all over the world. Storm waves can increase coastal erosion. I've discussed that about Alaska many times before, putting coastal settlements and infrastructure at risk, right? Whole villages in Alaska have had to move because chunks of the real estate, literally from under their feet, gone into the ocean. So Ian Young, who's an engineer at the University of Melbourne in Australia, he and a colleague report in the journal Science that they reached their conclusion on the basis of 4 billion observations made between 1985 and 2018. And he basically states that although increases of 5 and 8% might not seem like much, if sustained into the future, such changes to our climates will have major impacts. Professor Young goes on to state, flooding events are caused by storm surge and associated breaking waves. Increased sea level makes these events more serious, more frequent. Increases in wave height, changes in other properties such as wave direction will further increase the probability of coastal flooding. Sea levels have been getting higher and higher due to the retreat of most of the great ice sheets, right? Greenland, Antarctica are the main ones, as well as alpine glaciers, right? And then also as the oceans warm due to thermal expansion, water becomes less dense and sea levels rise. And that's separate from adding the meltwater from the glaciers. So you have that. Okay. Now, Spanish oceanographers reported earlier that they were sure ocean waves were gathering in force and strength. European engineers have warned of the impact of more intense storms backed up by rising seas on the Atlantic ports and coastlines of the continent. Netherlands would be at risk. Look what's happening in Venice. But there are problems. Precision measurements have been made only recently. Oceanographers cannot be sure that they are not witnessing a natural cycle of ocean change. in which storm intensities slowly vary over a pattern of decades. That's a valid point. Maybe it's cyclical. Maybe ocean waves and winds are cyclical. They increase in strength, and then they go to increase in strength to a max, and then slowly ebb off and reach a low, a minimum, and then back up to the max. It could be. Since 1985, Earth observation satellites have been equipped with altimeters to measure wave height and wind speed, radiometers to measure wind speed, and scatterometers to record wind speed and direction. Then the next major challenge was to calibrate the data from all these different satellites. But the Australian engineers now report they're 90% confident they can measure ocean change. Violent storms now arrive with higher wave crests and more dangerous winds than they did in 1985. This is apparently true worldwide, according to them, but the effect is most pronounced in the ocean that goes around Antarctica, the Southern Ocean. So the next step in their research is to make estimates of how much more violent the worst sea storms are likely to become later this century. Because the expectation is that planetary average temperatures as well as sea levels will continue to increase. Dr. Young continues, these changes have impacts that felt all over the world. Storm waves can increase coastal erosion, putting coastal settlements and infrastructures at risk. Right? I've already mentioned that. We need a better understanding of how much this change is due to long-term climate change and how much is due to multi-decadal fluctuations or cycles. In other words, you need to tease out the signals. Fair point. Now, I could get into a long discussion on wind stress, Ekman forcing, the winds being the result of temperature differentials, as well as pressure gradients, which result in air movement. I can talk about air moving over, the water surface creates surface waves via friction, and it's usually deflected. If the wind's blowing in, say, due west, the deflection in the northern hemisphere would be to the northeast. I can get into all of that. But instead, please watch my video on rotating systems, because all of that is discussed there. I discuss Ekman transport, Ekman spiral. I discuss convergence, divergence zones, etc., both in the atmosphere and in the ocean. So please watch my rotating systems video. So there we have it. Ocean waves are getting higher, ocean winds are stronger. And it's due to the extra energy put into the oceanic system. Thank you for your time. Hey folks, this is Jim here reminding you to please subscribe to my channel and please share my videos with others. Also remember to click the bell so that you know when I drop in a new video. I also ask that you please consider becoming a patron of my channel and support the work that I do by going to patreon.com/Science Talk with Jim Massa, each word separated by an underscore, and becoming a patron. It's asking for as little as $3 a month, cost of a cup of coffee, to support the work I do and keep my informative videos coming your way. Thank you for your support.